So I think this is a little bit too much for it. It's a 3 meters cable, but yeah, it's gonna do the job. So let's get started with it. Go unplug my internet. So there it is. And
so a lot of cable here. Great. So wait for my modem to boot up.
now I have it connected. Alright, so let me explain what actually is going on here. So I bought this camera. It's a typical in-camera Wi-Fi connected, and I also have these plans that I do in my apartment, and I had this idea that I could use the camera to take a picture every now and then make like a time lapse later. So if I take a picture, for instance, once every minute, I can later do a time lapse video with that. So I had this idea, and so I have the camera, it's Wi-Fi, and I have a Raspberry Pi, and I can program in Ruby. So I thought, let's do this. So that's what I'm gonna do in this video. I'm gonna show how I did it. So let's get started with it. I'm now installing one version of Ruby on my Raspberry Pi. So I'm doing this for the third time. Actually, I'm using RBenv to install it, just because then I can install any version that I want. So I'm installing Ruby 2.6.6, and actually I forgot to install some pre-dependencies, which are these ones. So if you try to do this ever, remember to do this, otherwise you have to run it again. And installing Ruby, it's gonna compile the whole Ruby thing on your Raspberry Pi, and it's so slow. Like, I think it takes like 15 or 20 minutes to compile, just because the Raspberry Pi is not very powerful. By the way, I'm using a Raspberry Pi 3, so that's also kind of old. Anyway, while it is compiling, let me show it. So this is the command I'm using to grab the pictures. So this is ffmpeg. If you're using Linux, you can install it via apt-get install ffmpeg. If you're using macOS like I do, you can just brew install ffmpeg, and that's gonna install it. So I found my camera listens on, so this is my camera IP address, and it listens on this port 554. And it needs the authentication, which I don't want to expose my authentication key here, so I put it on a environment variable, and I'm using it like that. So basically I'm telling that I want to connect to the camera via RTSP, and then the camera IP address, and then stream 1. So I figure my camera has two streams, stream 1 and stream 2. Stream 1 is full HD, so it's a full HD picture, while stream 2 is a much lower resolution. And I'm saying here on frames v1 that I want only one frame, because I don't want to actually save a video of it. I want to just save a still picture. And -y means that ffmpeg is not going to ask me anything, for instance, if I want to replace the file. And here is the output file. So if I run this, and let me actually go ahead and run it, it takes, I figured that it takes me about 2 seconds to run it. I did some measurements, and it saved the picture, so it should be here, picture 1. So it's there. That's picture 1. Yeah, I can run it again, and I'm gonna put it there, picture 2. So it's gonna be here, picture 2 and picture 1. So it automatically puts a timestamp here, and this is, I think this is not coming from ffmpeg at all. This is probably coming from the camera itself. It's putting that. I don't know how to disable it, and I honestly I don't mind disabling it. So I'm just gonna keep it there. So picture 1 and 2. And now what I want to do is, well, I want to make it run on a regular basis. So I'm gonna open my code editor and start coding. So I'm going to start by creating a file main.rb, and the first thing is I want to copy this command. So this is going to be actually pretty easy stuff. So I wanted to run, let me put this bang here so I can user being env ruby, so when I can run this file directly without having to call ruby. And I'm gonna move some things here to an environment variable. So the first thing is the IP address. So the camera IP address, I wanna have it on an environment variable, or rather on a just not an environment variable, just a variable. And IP address, stream 1 is always gonna be. This thing here, I can just leave it as it is, I think. And then I want to also have the output file. So the output path, which is gonna be, let's say, picture3.jpg. And this should do it. So in Ruby, this backticks means I'm actually gonna run this on a shell. So that's it. If I run this now, I hope it is going to. So I want to make this file executable, and I want to say Ruby 266. So I'm gonna echo this to a Ruby version file. So yeah. And then I'm gonna go and run it, and I'm gonna see all the FFmpeg output. And now the picture should be here. So picture 3, there you go. And great, so that worked. Now I wanna capture some times. So I'm gonna require time and date, just because they provide some functions for measuring time and so on. So this authentication key, I also want to put it, I think I can put it on a variable. Actually, I can totally expose this key because I can just change it, and it's just internal to my network. And I'm pretty sure it was actually already exposed here. So the key is actually this thing over here. So it doesn't really matter. It's just a random string, and I'm gonna change it later. So auth key, I'm gonna say it's here, and instead of, I want to pass it as a variable, so auth key. So one thing, let's actually go ahead and make a few pictures of it. So I'm gonna put in a loop, and it's gonna be an infinite loop. So I want to have a counter. Actually, I'm not gonna do a counter. I'm gonna do a timestamp. Timestamp equals time.now. I want always the UTC time. And I want to say pick and then the timestamp, but I want to convert it to an integer. So it's going to be a Unix timestamp. So it's a number that is always increasing. And there are going to be no problems with weird things like dot, dashes, spaces in the file name. So yeah, timestamp output path is going to be here. And after taking the picture, I want to sleep for, let's say 5 seconds. But before that, I want to say picture, and then timestamp taken. Saved to, and then the file name. So if I run these now, I'm gonna have it running forever, taking pictures forever. So, and here is our first picture. And every 5 seconds, kinda every 5 seconds is gonna do that. And as I said, I measured it takes about 2 seconds to invoke the so if you think about this line of code here, this is running ffmpeg, and this takes 2 seconds to run, at least on my computer. I haven't measured it on the Raspberry Pi. So anyway, what does it mean is that this loop actually is not running every 5 seconds, because this takes 2 seconds and this takes 5. That means, and of course these other lines of code like this one and this one and this one takes just amount of time that is not even, it doesn't matter, so it's so fast that it doesn't matter. So the overall thing takes about 7 seconds. And it's easily, one can easily see this by the difference here in the file name. So you see, this is a Unix timestamp, so the files are showing up here, the pictures that are being taken. And this is the number of seconds. So a Unix timestamp is just a number of seconds since 1st January 1970. So that's what Unix timestamp means. It's just a convention there. So you can see from this one to this one, it took 8 seconds. So it's 8 seconds apart. And these two first ones, you can see the first and second one are 7 seconds apart. So yeah, I would expect this thing to have a little bit of a jitter. So it's not always 2 seconds, probably depends on the network as well, and some other factors that I don't care really. So yeah, and these two also 7 seconds apart, and then these two are 8 seconds apart. So instead of using sleep, this sleep, I'm gonna use a sleep, but I wanna do it a little bit differently to, I'm probably gonna increase this to take one picture every 30 seconds, or one picture every 60 seconds, something like that, not every 5 seconds, because there's gonna be way too many pictures then. And yeah, you can see that a plant is not gonna change that much from every 5 seconds, so I don't actually need to do that. So what I want to do is I want to use a gem that I think I don't remember the name of it actually, but if I yeah, I have to do a little bit of research. So let me open my browser and let me go to Ruby gems, and I know there is a gem called Rescue Scheduler, and this gem uses, oh, it's probably under dependencies. So this gem uses Rufus Scheduler, which by the way uses this Fudgit, or I don't know how to pronounce that, but this is the gem I want. So I know that this gem does exactly what I want. And what it does is it measures, it allows me to do some cron, like a cron job, or a job that is going to run every so often. So lots of pictures there. Well, I'm gonna interrupt this by pressing Ctrl C. So touch, I want to create some gem file. So bundle init actually, and it created a gem file for me. And now I want to get rid of these pictures. So rm pick. There you go, deleted all the pictures. Except I also want to delete. Yes, so deleted all the pictures and gem file. So a brand new gem file, and I want to say Fudgit, and then I'm gonna install it. There you go. So Fudgit is, I have to require it. Require Fudgit, and what it does is I can do something like this. Actually, let me add, or maybe not. So Fudgit parse, let me do bundle exec IRB and then parse this. So x equals this. Oh, I have to require the gem. Very important. So I think the API is, actually I want to know this. So this is a trick I use to get all methods that an object has. So I know that I can call x dot anything of this. So minutes to a match, hours, month. I thought there was some next thing. Oh, next time. There you go. So if I do x dot next time, it is going to have now again methods, and I want to remove these. So if I do x dot next time dot to time, and what is wrong there? To time. Next time dot to time. Oh, it's a protected method. So to UTC time maybe. To UTC time. All right, so I can do time.now.utc. So what this allows me to do is, let me explain actually how it works. So this gem is really some nice stuff, and it gets as a string here, it gets like a cron job description. So if I go to, I never remember this thing, so I have to search it. So cron tab and then images, I know I'm gonna have a reference. So this is a cron tab. So it describes like, if I want to run something every 1 minute, I'm gonna do a string that is gonna be like this. So it's always gonna be 5 positions. I know that Fudgit can have more because you can go down to the second. But for instance, if I wanted to run some job every hour, I would say, let me put this picture on the background. So I would do something like, so every hour at the minute 24, let's say. So I would do it like this. So asterisk, 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 and asterisk. So this means basically, if you look at the rightmost asterisk, I'm saying that I want to run every day of week. And this second asterisk from right to left, I'm gonna say I want to run it every month of the year. And then this one is gonna say every day of the month. And this is gonna say every hour. And then this one is gonna say every minute that is 24. So whenever minute is 24, this should run. So this is like a cron job. Is something that is gonna run every so often. Actually, I just saw this picture now, and it reminded me that there's this cron tab guru website, which lets you visualize it. So cron tab guru. You see, I'm telling that I want to run. So remember, this is minute, hour, day, month, and day of the week. So I want to run at 24 every hour. So this is kind of a text description. And the time right now is 12:16. This means, and it's 3 of April, or April 3rd, 12:16 right now. So this means that if I want to run it every hour, and by it I mean whatever I want to run, the next time that I have to run it is by 12:24. So 12:24. And if I would want it to run, so right now it's 12:16 still. If I wanted to run it by 12, by every time that the minute is 15, since it's already past that time, so since it's now 12:17, the next time I would have to run this is by 15 minutes. So that would be, given the current time, that would be the next time I would have to run this thing. So So this cron tab is a convention used in Linux since, I don't know, since ever. And what this Fudgit gem allows me to do is it gives me this thing, so I can do like x dot next time dot to let me do it to local time, because then I'm gonna have it on my local time. And there you go, you see the same results here. So next at 2021 April the 3rd, 13 hours or hour 13 and minute 15. And I know that Fudgit actually also, let me instead of doing X, let me move this to here so I can more easily do it. So if I wanted to run it every minute, I could do it like this. So the current time is right there. So it's 12, 18, second 30, 31, 32. So this is the next time I would have to run it, given the given this rule over here. And I know that in Fudgit I can actually go ahead and put, like, if I wanted to run it every minute at second 20, then you see that now it's gonna run at second 20. So given the current time is almost there, let me actually do it like this. I have to put, so here I have current time and time that I should run it. So at this time here I would have to run it like in 3 seconds. And now you see that given the current time, so since it has already been run, the next time I'd have run it would have been by, like, it's already on the past, right? So I hope you got the idea on how this works. It's a little bit confusing, but yeah, this is the way I'm gonna do it, because then I don't have to rely on this thing. I'm gonna have a more constant rate there. So now I have Fudgit, and I wanna say that I wanna run it every 30 seconds. Every 30 seconds. So I can do it like that. Oops. So this rule, let me copy it. Let me copy it and paste it here. So what this rule does is that I'm saying I want to run every minute at second 30 and also at second 0. So in essence, what this says is that I want to run it every 30 seconds. All right. So you can see we are approaching 12:21 there. And when we arrive at 12:21, the next time, there you go. So the next time it's going to run is at 12:21, 30 seconds. So right at this time, the next run would have been at this time. And then when we were past that time, the next run is going to be this one, and so on and so forth. So the question now is, how can we leverage this? How can we use this? So I wanna, first thing is I wanna put it on a variable. So I want to say that the interval is Fudgit parse, this thing. And I want to go and say interval. So I have to store the last run, right? I have to store the last run. So I'm gonna say if actually I'm gonna go and say that the next run, so this is gonna be the time of the next run, and I always want to work with UTC times. So next next time dot to UTC time. So the next run is going to be on this time. So this is going to be, actually these two variables are going to have the same class. And I want to say that if timestamp is larger than the next run, then we want to run it, right? Actually, no, because this is never going to be true. Never going to be true. So what also needs to happen here is, I think this thing here has a parameter. So it's Fudgit.parse and then next time, and I can pass in a parameter, and the parameter is a time. So let's say 2021, April 1, for instance, and then time is going to be at 13:00, and it's all going to be, let's say, UTC time. This little z here means that the time is going to be at UTC. So you see that by 13:00, the next run is actually at 13:030. But if we are just, and if we change the second to 30, then it's going to be at minute 1, second 0. But if we are just before it, then the run is going to be still at 30. So I guess you can guess what this parameter is doing. It's saying, give me the next time that this has to be run relative to this time here, passing as a parameter. All right. So we want to totally do that. So we want to say that the next run relative to a given time, and what that time actually is the last run. So the last time we run it, so I want to say like relative to the time that we last run this, what is the next time that we are supposed to run it? All right. So last run here is nil, so that's a problem because it has to be an instance of a time. So I want to say time.at0, and time.at0, well, since I told you that, and this 0 is a Unix time, so Unix time 0 is actually the beginning of Unix time, which is 2070. So it's going to be always in the very past. So that means the next time is always going to work for us. So the last time we ran it was 40 years ago. Let's pretend that. And now this thing here is going to be accurate. So if timestamp is larger than the next run, so if the current time is past our next run, this means we want to run it. All right. So in this scenario, we run it. And by run it, I want to create a function called take picture. And I'm going to do output path. And what it's going to do is, it's going to run this thing. So off key is there, IP address is there, output path. So this is important that it comes as a parameter. All right. So now I want to call it, should take the picture, pass in the parameter, and well, this only goes here whenever this is being run. And I want to put an else here. So if we are running, so it's now time to run it, then I want to say, well, picture is being taken. And now I have to update this last run variable. Otherwise, this is only going to be run once. So I'm going to say last run equals, and then I want to say the current timestamp, which is timestamp, because this is the current timestamp. Now, if it is not yet time to run this, we are not doing anything. However, this means that for the whole time, this loop is going to be executing a lot. So I want to put a small sleep function here. just so that this loop doesn't consume 100% of the CPU. So remember that sleep does not consume CPU, but if we just keep running code over and over, it's gonna consume CPU, and I don't wanna do that. So sleeping 1 second should be totally fine, could be even less, like half a second. So the shorter that this time is, the more precise the screenshot time is gonna be taken. So half a second should be enough if we are talking about taking one screenshot every 30 seconds or every minute, or even less frequent than that. So let's actually go ahead and check if this works. So can run it with this. And off key. Yeah, now the problem is that these variables have to be declared inside this thing. All right, so this should now work. And the problem now is that it's gonna run every 30 seconds. Or that should have been the case. I just saw it took 2 pictures already. And I just realized why it took 2 pictures. That's because the last run when it initializes is time long in the past, so a long time ago, and then it means that it's going to run instantly. And then let's say we were very close to either 0 or 30 seconds, so it just took a picture then again. But this is only going to happen whenever we start the app. So only whenever we start the app. And yeah, pictures are being taken, and you can see that these ones are actually 30 seconds apart, just like the rule is telling. And this is also 30 seconds apart. So it's working. And looking at my Raspberry Pi now, Ruby 266 seems to be installed. So let me check it. I wanna actually go and paint my tabs green, so I know that these 2 ones are on the Raspberry Pi thing. So I just say that I want to use Ruby 266. And I forgot to do something. I have to actually edit my profile to finish the RBenv installation. So this should do it. All right. And if we run RB and say Ruby version, there you go, 266. Now I want to do a little detail here. I want to update the the Ruby gems version, and also it's gonna update the bundler version. So just to have everything up to date, I want to run this on my Raspberry Pi. It's probably gonna take a while. I don't know, 1-2 minutes, maybe less than that. And anyway, this is the second folder, the second tab here. So I created a folder called pictures, and here I want to have my code running, the code that is going to take the pictures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to edit this main.rb file that I put here just to test. And so I'm going to replace it. And actually something that I want to do is I want to change the folder. So in my Raspberry Pi, I want all the photos to be saved on this device. So base path equals, and let me delete this code. All right, so the base path is going to be this. That means that the output path is always going to be starting with the base path, and then there's going to be a slash, and let me remove this slash from here. And camera stills, so let me copy this whole folder. Stop asking. All right. So, all right. So cool. It's gonna use the output path. So the reason is that, oh, come on. Come on, this is not what I wanted. Anyway, let me see the file here, and it's probably all right. So here on this folder I have nothing, and the reason I'm saving here is because this is actually a external SSD drive that I put on my Raspberry Pi. So I wanted the pictures to be saved there and not on the Raspberry Pi SD card, because this picture is they're going to take quite some space. So, and if we wonder how much space, let's see. Each picture here has 50 kilobytes. So 50 kilobytes, and these one have 52. So 52 kilobytes. Let's say I have 2 pictures each minute. That's going to be already 100 kilobytes every minute, and then times 60 minutes is going to be in how many kilobytes per hour. So that's going to be 6 megabytes every hour, and in a day it's going to be these many kilobytes, which if I divide by 1024, it's going to give me the number in megabytes. So I can multiply this by 7, so it's going to be 1,000 megabytes, which is 1 gigabyte every week. So it's going to be 1 gigabyte every week. And if I do every month, it's going to be 4 gigabytes every month. Since plants tend to grow slowly, and every month I'm going to have 4 gigabytes of pictures. So that doesn't fit on my Raspberry Pi micro SD card. So I want to have it on my external hard drive, which is 200 and something gigabytes large. All right, so what else I need to do here? Actually, I have to create the gem file. So I'm also going to copy it. And oh, this is not yet ready. So I can't run bundler while this is not ready. So it's still updating gems thing. Anyway, I'm gonna wait for that. And another thing I want to do is, how am I going to run this? So this is something that I have to run once and just forget it there. But it would be kind of lame for me to just, like, I could do ruby main RB and then run it and close this. I'm not sure it would actually work. I'm not sure. But what I want to do is I want to use systemd. So if you do like systemctl status, you can see all the services running, like WPA supplicant, which is the Wi-Fi thing. So it's running, and suppose I wanted to stop this, I could just do it like this: stop this service that is running on the background, or start it again. And I could use the command enable to mean that if my Raspberry Pi reboots for some reason, like, yeah, any reason really, so it would start this service automatically for me, so I don't have to worry about it. So this is from systemd. It comes with Linux, therefore also with Raspberry Pi, and I want to use it. And to run it is actually quite simple. So you gotta write a file, which is something like this. So if I cat this file, actually I can start from here. So sudo vim, and then I'm gonna open this, and I'm gonna create my own service, which I'm gonna call pictures. So let me do it like this, and let me edit my pictures file. So first thing is I'm gonna copy and paste this, and pictures, camera pictures, And this I'm gonna just leave it like that, service, and then this is actually not dbus, this is something else which I forgot. So I'm gonna search for it. So systemd unit file. So this is a unit file. This is called a unit file. Service type. And there we go, DigitalOcean. So I think actually, yeah, so this is not helping. This is way too basic. This is probably what you want to read if you never saw this before. But in my case, I think this is just exec. And there's no bus name, and the all right, and then here is the command that is going to be run. So pictures start.sh pictures. So this is yeah, alias. There's no alias wanted by. All right, so quit and save that file. Now we have to run systemctl daemon reload, just because I created a new file. And if I take a look on pictures, now look at that, camera pictures, that the name that I put there, and it's there. So it's inactive, it's not running. And even if I wanted to run it, it's actually not runnable because this file has to exist. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna touch this start.sh file, and yeah, I'm gonna edit it actually, and do some echo actually date, and then so what this is going to do is, let me just finish it. All right, so this file, I have to make it runnable because this service is going to start this with this file. All right. So instead of running directly the Ruby thing, I'm gonna actually run the start.sh file, and you're gonna see in a minute why I'm doing that. So what it does when I run it is that I could just run it like this, and it's gonna create a file here called last run. Then I can know when the last run was. So I'm gonna remove this, and I cat it, and there's nothing there because I removed the file. And then I cat it, and there you go. So I'm gonna remove it, and now I'm gonna run it using systemd. So I'm gonna do start or status of pictures, so it's not there, and I'm gonna start it, and now I'm gonna run status again, and it's saying it's dead. So yeah, of course it's dead because it run, and so that I can really know that it actually run, I'm gonna cat the file, and you can see it's there, and it just run. So it's dead because the process finished. So I don't know if it's trying to run again. No, it's not, because the date didn't change at all. So I'm just gonna say systemctl stop pictures, and I'm going to edit this now. Let me actually do something else first. So this is the folder where my pictures are supposed to be, and oh, this is still not finished. I'm gonna run bundler anyway. All right, I have to have a Ruby version file, and actually I have to do this because I didn't load rbenv on this tab. So run bundler. Yeah, the problem with Raspberry Pi is that it's actually really slow. And the other problem is that this is only installing documentation. So I should have put a flag there not to install documentation, but I forgot it, and now it's installing that. Anyway, now I can run it. So bundle, and I can run bundle exec and then main.rb. And the reason is, the reason that I wanna, all right, this file has to be runnable. So the reason I have to run bundle exec is because I wanted to load the Fudgit gem that I just declared on the gem file. So there you see it's running. I'm gonna press Ctrl C to stop it. So it ran ffmpeg at least once. And if I look at here, there you go, my picture. So there's one picture there. So if I just, so to run it, I just did bundle exec main.rb. So since on that file that I edited, oh, I cannot pronounce that. So this file, the systemd file, the problem here is that I cannot do bundle exec here. This is not going to work. So it has to be actually a full path of a executable file. That's why I'm doing this intermediate shell file. So I can now do bundle exec like this, and I don't, well, I actually want this so that I can kind of debug, use this for debugging. But this is probably not going to work as well. So let me write this file and close it. And now let me check if, let me remove the last run file. Yes. So sudo systemctl status pictures. And there you go. So let's start it. And if I go status again, it says failed. Yeah. So the last run file is here, of course, because it ran, but it couldn't run the Ruby script. And the reason is because it's because I'm using rbenv to run Ruby, and rbenv is not loaded at that point. So I have to manually go ahead and run and load it. So I have on my .profile, in my .profile file, I have this, and this actually loads rbenv. And what I want to do is that I want to load rbenv every time that we execute that thing. So I'm going to edit my py pictures start. All right, so in my start file, I want to go and I want to say that I loaded rbenv. And also here, all right, that's great. So also what I want to do is I want to say rbenv shell 266, so that is going to pick Ruby 266 every time. Then I'm going to save it, and I'm going to leave this file just there. And then sudo remove last run. Yes. Sudo systemctl and pictures. So it's failed. I'm going to stop it. Yeah. And now I'm going to start it again. And now I hope it's working. Maybe I have to restart it. rbenv command not found. So that happened right now. All right, so there's a problem there. There is certainly a problem. So eval rbenv init, and maybe I could remove this from a eval. I don't know. Export path and then home. Oh, all right. So I think the reason is that, yeah. So you can see the last run file here. It has root permissions. So the problem is not working is because this is being run as root user and not py. So it has to be run as py. Because if you think about it, on the start file, I'm saying home. And if I echo this home variable, this is actually /home/py. But for the root user, this is going to be /root. And there's nothing there on /root. There's no such RBN folder there. So what I have to do is I have to, oh, come on. I have to edit that file again, and I have to say that I want to run this as the user pi. So systemd unit file service, and then user and group. Yeah, this is exactly what I want. How to run systemd service as specific user and group. So yeah, these articles are always telling more than you want. All right. So oh yeah, that's it. So user and group, simple as that. User and group. So user, and this goes in here. So both user and group are going to be pi. And I think I'm not sure if I have to do a daemon reload. So restart, let me remove this last run file. Yes. So sudo systemctl, and then restart pictures. And we have a last run file, so that means something worked, but is still failing. Look at that, could not locate gem file or bundle directory. Okay, so the second problem here is that when you run bundle exec, it hopes that it's going to find a gem file log file. Now, this is not running on the correct folder. That's why it's not running. So we have to cd to this folder. So we have to cd to this folder. So that's it. These two lines are initializing rbenv, and then we are going to the folder where this verifier is, and we are saying that we want Ruby 266, and then we are doing this just to debug, and then run the Ruby code that actually is gonna go and take the pictures. So sudo systemctl status pictures, so it's failed. And then if I take a look at media, so here is where my camera stills are, and there's one picture there. So sudo systemctl restart pictures, and now I hope it's running. There you go. So it's green active running. That means it's working. And if I ls here, I'm gonna see one picture taken at 12:50, and probably there's already gonna be another picture. So date minus u right now. All right, so this is only the minute. I cannot know the second there. So it's probably gonna take a while. I hope it's still running. Status pictures. All right, so there are the pictures. So this picture was taken at this moment in time, which is time.at. It's 12:50:03, and this one is at 12. There's a 0 there. So 12:50 minutes and 30 seconds. And I want to go and download this picture. So the way I do this is, let me first remove these pictures from here. All right. And then I want to SCP, well, SCP, I think this is gonna work. So this is my Raspberry Pi IP address on my local network, and I want to download the file that is here on this folder, and the name of the file is this, and then download it to this very folder. And there you go. So it's downloaded. So why it's not here? Okay, because I am on the wrong folder. So open this. All right. All right, so yes, list. There you go. So here is the file that was supposedly, yeah, look at that. So the time is very precise, you know. So the name of the name of the file, this timestamp, is saying that it's exactly this time that is here. So that's great. So we have a lot of precision there. And if I do an ls again, I'm gonna see more files. All right, so that's cool. That's really good. So that means it's working. And now what I have to do is I have to wait a few days for this to see the result of this project. So I'm gonna end this video here because the code is already there and it's working, and we're gonna see the results of this later on. And I want to continue this project and do more things like exposing these pictures to the web, and then later on transform this sequence of pictures into a video, so we have a video time lapse. And I'm going to show that next time. See you there.